All right, we got a story that I don't think anybody had on the bingo card for 2023. Former Lions quarterback Scott Mitchell calling out Barry Sanders, Jeff Daniels, and Eminem. Yes, a new documentary released on Amazon Prime this week called Bye Bye Barry has got the former Lions quarterback fired up and voicing his opinions because he wasn't too happy the way he was portrayed in the documentary. And honestly, who could blame him? He's kind of taken the fall for Barry Sanders not winning a Super Bowl or at least getting to a Super Bowl. And he was kind of all up in his feelings, but he went off on them and honestly called out the legend himself. I mean, Barry Sanders, one of the greatest running backs of all time, only played 10 years, retired in the heart of his career. Honestly, I think everyone knows he would be the all-time rushing champ if he hadn't just stepped away so early. Maybe you could say the same thing about Jim Brown probably, but all that aside, the documentary comes out. Sanders has been a quiet guy, kind of a reclusive guy, and he's kind of getting back out there. You have the documentary coming out. He's made amends with the Lions organization. He's at Lions games. He's boosting it around. So it's really good to see. But Mitchell had to voice some concerns. I shouldn't even say concern. Some real beef he had with the documentary in his portrayal, even though he's not directly named by anybody. It's just kind of inferred it was him. Now, Mitchell was a huge free agent signing for the Lions in 94 as the quarterback. They brought him in thinking he was going to be the guy, get this team to the promised land, get them to a Super Bowl, and he was widely considered a bust. He was 27-30 as a starter, just a 56% completion percentage, but again, the numbers were a little different back then. But the Lions never did anything. 0-3 in the playoffs. They couldn't get anything done with the great Barry Sanders, but he had to call out people. He called out everybody. He said, first and foremost, Barry's great, but he's so tired of hearing how he was the reason that Sanders never won a Super Bowl. He goes, I'm so tired of hearing how I'm not a good QB. My only response is, F you all. That includes Eminem and Jeff Daniels, two legendary Lions fans. I mean, the Lions have a passionate, not many people are even going to be publicly about that they're a Lions fan, but they have a passionate fan base, and they're finally starting to see some success that they haven't really seen since Barry Sanders was in the building with them. But imagine calling out Eminem and Jeff Daniels. Eminem might just drop a hot diss track on a guy that nobody's probably even thought about in 20 years. Or maybe even longer, realistically. But he had to go on to say he called out his coach, Wayne Fontes, who was in the documentary interview talking with Barry, talking about how he wanted to sign Joe Montana or Warren Moon, but the GM said they're too old, But Mitchell said that's not how it went down. I wish my coach would have had my back. Maybe we would have been better if he had his back. He never had his back. And he said he basically begged Mitchell to come play for the Lions to the point of it was a little embarrassing, he said. Now, history is written by the victors. He's in the documentary, Mitchell's not, but he's trying to set the record straight so I could get it. But it sounds like it's just kind of a dysfunctional thing all about that in Detroit. We kind of know what's going on, but he did come for Barry Sanders itself. He said, bottom line is Barry had everything in Detroit. Everyone loved him. Everything was built for Barry to succeed. In his 10-year career, the Lions only won one playoff game, and the only reason they didn't win more was because everyone else was the problem. How many yards did Barry have in the 94, 95, 97 playoffs? I'll give you a hint, not very many. We are all to blame for not winning a Super Bowl in Detroit, even Barry Sanders. Ooh, shots fired, coming at Barry saying, yo, in the biggest games, in the biggest spots, you were trash, my guy. And if you look at Barry's numbers, they weren't very good. -1 yard rushing in that 94 game, and then he had 45 and 60. Those aren't good numbers for a guy who's many consider the all-time greatest running back, at least in the top 3. Those aren't great performances, but the Lions were never good as a whole, man. They're playing those games as wild cards on the road. They haven't won the division since 91. They've never won the division in my lifetime. It's ridiculous to think about, yeah, maybe there is some other things going on with that team that they can never get it done. And you look at the mediocrity, in fact, worse than mediocrity, just feeble and awfulness that were the Detroit Lions for almost 2 decades now. They finally gotten the ship turned around. They really couldn't even turn that thing around with Hall of Famer Megatron at wide receiver and potential Hall of Famer Matt Stafford at quarterback and a decent defense. They still couldn't get those wins done. It's just kind of a cursed organization, but the momentum has changed and things are the tide has turned for the Lions. But this is some crazy drama that I didn't think we'd be seeing here. I love the story. I can't wait to see if anybody responds. Now, I'm assuming Barry's going to be the bigger guy and say it wasn't that. But there's a lot of animosity between these Lions. It feels like just that they left too much meat on the bone. But it could all go away. The Lions should win the division this year, get a home playoff game, win a home playoff game, and it'll feel like 30 years of frustration, futility, and anger will wash away everybody. But I don't think Mitchell's getting invited back to any Lions reunions by anybody anytime soon, since Barry is their guy, and they want him way more than a guy that they feel like cost them a chance at a Super Bowl. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Is Eminem going to make a diss track about this? Are they going to comment on this? Would you have called this out? Would you take it personally if somebody did this to you in the dock? Would you have wanted to be in the dock? I'm surprised Mitchell wasn't in the dock. I mean, he was a quarterback for 4 years. He was there when Barry retired. You think they would try and get what his opinion was on it, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you haven't already, click that like button, hit that thumbs up. It really helps the channel out with the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. New sports content every single day. If you want to support the channel more, hit that join button. Join the channel memberships. Helps me out a lot to keep making this great content for you every single day. Again, like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.